Okay, we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to July's PrestaShop project live update. It's hard to believe, but we are on July, so July already. So welcome to the next PrestaShop project live update. My name is Christian Podemski. I'm tech evangelist at PrestaShop project, and I'm also your host for today. And I prepared for you some news, some demos. So we'll discuss what's going on in the project, and we will discuss what is going to happen in the project in the nearest future. So yeah, this is today's agenda. So let's get straight into it. Let's get to the event rules. As always, please use chat to ask questions. Remember that what you see is not exactly what I see. I'm a bit ahead. So if you have any questions regarding the things I show you, regarding the project, please use chat and I will try to answer them either as soon as possible, depending on where we are at in the presentation, or I will answer them during the Q&A session at the end of the live update. Also, this event is about the PrestaShop project, so we don't discuss PrestaShop company stuff there. This event is public and is being recorded, so you can watch the replay on YouTube later. And please be nice to each other and abide by the code of conduct. And as always, so let's get straight to the project news. As you may be aware, we are organizing the first ever PrestaShop Developer Conference that will happen at the end of November in Paris. So if you are interested in talking PrestaShop, if you are interested in meeting some of the core members, some of the community members of the project, feel free to travel to Paris and participate in the conference. Also, if you are motivated to speak at the conference, you can submit for call of paper. Themes for this year are modules and theme development, performance, solutions for developers. You can present new PrestaShop features or security, or some stuff about deployment or continuous integration, continuous delivery, which are really a hot topic for the community and for everyone involved in the PrestaShop. With the PrestaShop. So you are free to attend the conference and submit your talk ideas. We will review them as soon as possible. I will share now the link to the developer conference website, so you can read all the information there. I will share it on chat. So feel free to check all the information available on the website. And I hope to see you there. The other news is not really a news, but more like a reminder. It's a reminder that every month we have this article called PrestaShop Core Monthly. It's basically a summary of what's going on or what happened in the project during the last month. We try to publish this article each month, and it basically shows all the notable changes from the project. It summarizes all the pull requests that happened in the project. It informs you about relevant changes in the project, about some huge breaking changes that are coming to the future versions of PrestaShop. So basically, it's a text form of what we do during live updates, and even more because it's easier for us to put more information in the text form than during those live updates. So I would like to invite you to read Core Monthly. It's a great source of content for everyone who is working with PrestaShop, either as a developer or as a merchant. So you can stay up to date with all the news that are going on in the project. And next, we can talk about the bigger news of today's live update. It's obviously about the new version of PrestaShop. PrestaShop 8.1 was released a few weeks ago already. And I like to say that it's a minor upgrade, but with major improvements. As you probably know, there are some really big features that happen to be introduced in PrestaShop 8.1. We also created this landing page, which basically allows you to go through all the features that are available in PrestaShop 8.1. So if you visit PrestaShop project or website, and if you go to download and what's new section, I'm sharing the link right now, so you can visit the page later. You can see this landing page basically summarizing all the notable changes which happened to be introduced in PrestaShop 8.1. You can read more about our amazing new product management page. You can see some performance benchmark there. You can see some screenshots from back office, and it basically allows you to have a glimpse of what PrestaShop 8.1 is about. And I'm sure if you read this page, if you visit this page and you scroll through all the features that were introduced in PrestaShop 8.1, you will be more willing to test it out, because I do believe it's one of the best releases of PrestaShop, mostly thanks to the new product page, but there's also the new image format system, which allows you to generate images in real WebP, in the real Avif, and your theme can choose, depending on the browser the user is browsing your store with, which format of the image to serve. So you can optimize your front office by serving people real WebP images. It's under the experimental flag right now, but I will explain that a bit later. There are also some nice to see features, like, for example, you can enable maintenance mode only for logged in employees, so you don't need to provide IP anymore. You just can check this checkbox, and every employee that is logged into your back office can access the store, even if the store is being in the maintenance mode. There are also some developer features. For example, you can enable debug profiler straight from the back office, and also some things, some changes under the hood, like possibility of easier management of Symfony service configuration. You can load services from Symfony from the provided directory, and many other possibilities which were previously available in Symfony but were not possible in PrestaShop are possible now. So yeah, check the what's new page on the project's website. Check the developer documentation if you are a developer, because we have some notable changes documented there. This is really important if you work with PrestaShop as a developer, as a technical person, or as a solution engineer. Make sure to read the notable changes on the developer documentation. This will allow you to have a better understanding what happened under the hood. And there are some notable changes. There are some changes that may require to adapt your solutions to PrestaShop 8.1, even though it's a minor version. It shouldn't happen. But for example, if you work on the module that works directly in back office with the product management, it may require some adjustments for the new product page to work correctly with your solution. But for that, we not only have this mentioned in the notable changes in PrestaShop 8.1 page, we also have the full guide on how to migrate your solutions from the previous versions to the new version of the product page. So everything is covered. If you see that something is missing, if you see that something has to be described in more detail or more precisely, let us know, and we will try to improve the page as soon as possible. There's also an example module which shows how to work with the new product page. So basically, the team behind the new product page, the open source team and the community, did a really great job to prepare for the release as best as possible. So that would be it when it comes to 8.1 notable changes and this landing page. I will get back to the presentation, because I would like to speak more in more detail about some of the new features that we've introduced to the PrestaShop 8.1, especially about the new product page, which is a killer feature, which is one of the most anticipated feature in the PrestaShop ecosystem. If you happen to upgrade from PrestaShop 1.7 or PrestaShop 8.0, you won't see this page being enabled by default. If you want to see the new product page, the new product listing, which shows you a better multi-store management, all the new awesome features, you have to go to the experimental flags page, new and experimental flags page, to enable the new product page. Remember that this page is enabled by default only for new installations. So if you are confused that you upgraded to 8.1 and you don't see the new product page, it is because we didn't want to introduce any BC breaks, which means that you upgrade from one version to another, and some of the modules that worked previously in your PrestaShop don't work anymore, simply because then the product page is different. You can always enable the new product page. If something is wrong with third-party modules that you use, you can always bring back the old product page. So this setting is available in advanced parameters, new and experimental features of your back office. And it goes the same when it comes to the WebP and Avif. The difference is that even if you upgrade from PrestaShop 1.7 or PrestaShop 8.0 to 8.1, you won't see the new options for image generation automatically. This is something that we hid under the feature flag for purpose. This feature is not finished yet. It's partially compatible with the classic theme. It works with category and product images, but some of the places in front office and in back office have to be improved to work perfectly fine with WebP and Avif images. So normally you will see this screen on your design image settings page. You can choose whether the image format for the images that you upload to PrestaShop will be JPEG, PNG, or WebP. And it was confused for people because they selected WebP image as a format for their images, but the front office still served JPEG images. The reality is that even though the extension of the file was JPEG, it was really a WebP file under the different extension. So every page speed test, every EXIF tool which shows you information about the image type will show you that it really is the WebP file, but under different extension. Starting with 8.1, we've introduced a new feature that allows you to really generate another image with a proper extension. In order to enable that feature, you have to go to advanced parameters, new and experimental features, and enable this new option introduced in 8.1 called multiple image formats. This will allow you to load WebP or Avif images in your front office, depending on the browser support and depending on your server configuration, because Avif works only in PHP 8.1, plus it requires some of the extra extensions on the PHP side. So WebP and Avif support is integrated partially into classic theme. All the products images have to be adjusted to work perfectly with this new image format system, and it works fine with classic. But if you are an author of some custom theme, or if you use custom theme and if you upgrade from one version of PrestaShop to 8.1, you won't see WebP or Avif images work automatically from the beginning. The theme author or you have to adapt to the new image format system. The good thing is that this system is fully backward compatible. So even if you don't upgrade your theme, you just don't have the possibility to use the new feature, but everything else will work fine. So I will show you how it works in detail in a moment. And now let's move to the project demos. So today will be a bit different because we will jump around a few subjects. I would like to show you some of the changes that the project members have done with with the developer documentation, I would like to show you also some of the new features in PrestaShop 9, because even though we've just released PrestaShop 8.1, the work doesn't stop there, and the team plus community is working hard on the PrestaShop 9, which is scheduled to be released somewhere at the beginning of the next year. So not that far away from today, because time flies very fast. So I will now switch to my screen. You can see the developer documentation right now, but let me start with going to PrestaShop 9. And maybe I will start with showing you this new image format option, because even though it's PrestaShop 8.1, it should work the same on PrestaShop 9. So if I visit front office, if I inspect this element, this image, you will see that it's loaded as JPEG. You can see that the current source is the printed t-shirt JPEG. So what I would like to show you is how to enable WebP generation. It's very straightforward. When I go to design image settings, I don't see this new image generation feature yet, because as I mentioned earlier, we have to go to advanced parameters, new and experimental features. I will have to enable multiple image formats feature. I will save this option. I will go back to design image settings, and now this page has been adjusted and it shows me some different options now. So the JPEG images have to be generated, always generated, because it's something what we wanted to make possible to uncheck. We wanted to make possible for people to generate only web images. But if I recall correctly, this feature is even disabled right now, or is possible only in the developer mode. Simply, our way of thinking was that JPEGs are always recommended, always required if you are integrated with some third-party marketplaces like Amazon or Cdiscount or whatever. Most of the time they depend on JPEG images, so it seems reasonable to always generate JPEG images and generate WebP only for those who visit your online store. So you remember that I showed you that right now we load JPEG images, and I will enable WebP. I will save the options. So now if I regenerate images, let's try to do that. I should see all the WebP images in my front office. But just to make sure, I will clear the cache. Let's see if that works. All right, I will refresh the page. Okay, so now if I inspect this element, the current source of the image is set to WebP. As you can see, there's a picture tag implemented in Classic, thanks to Halftalk's Daniel. He implemented picture tags so the browser can decide what is the best format of images to serve. And as I'm using the newest Chrome, it's obviously the WebP format. So right now you don't only have JPEG or WebP under the JPEG extension, you have the real WebP file with the WebP extension, which should be very convenient for many. So I think it's a great addition to PrestaShop 8.1. But as I told you, as I said, it's still work in progress. There are some images that are served only as JPEGs, such as this cider image, or, for example, logos on manufacturers, or logos of, if I recall correctly, manufacturers, suppliers, and there was stores, if I recall correctly. So there are a few types of the data of images in the PrestaShop which are not fully compatible with WebP, but product images, category images, they are all working fine with WebP, so you can use this feature. But what's important is that if you want to use this feature, you have to implement it to your theme, or the author of the theme that you use have to implement it. All the details on how to do that are available on the developer document. There's a mention in the release notes as well. So yeah, I hope that theme authors will adapt to this new feature, as it's really a great addition to the software. And now that I'm sharing the screen, maybe we can go to the second demo of today. So after the WebP images, I would like to show you the new feature that is coming to PrestaShop 9, which improves on how we work with the developer mode. So normally, if you want to enable developer mode, you do it by switching the debug mode checkbox in advanced parameters performance. Let's see if that works. I switch debug mode to yes. I will save the option. So now, as you can see, I'm in the developer mode, in the debug mode. You can clearly, there's a clear indication that we are in the developer mode. There's also this Symfony debug toolbar on the pages that were migrated to Symfony already. But there's a new option that allows you to restrict debug mode only to those devices which have the cookie available with the provided value. The use case for this is, for example, if you want to provide some developer or some solution author with access to to your store, but with the developer mode enabled. So imagine this: you want to enable developer mode, but only for your machine. Normally, you would do something like this: that if the IP of the user is equal to you, then you show the developer mode, and you'd have to do that in the code. Today, you can just generate those two values. You can save the option. And as you can see, I'm no longer in the developer mode. If I want to re-enable developer mode, I have to set the cookie with the name of this hash and the value of this hash. And this will be a full test of the feature because I haven't had a chance to test it yet. So I will just go to application. In the developer console, I will go to application, cookies. I will set a new cookie with the name and with the value. And now I will refresh the page and I should be in the developer mode. And it works. No demo effect. It works correctly. It goes the same if we are in the front office. If you are not sure whether you are in the developer mode in front office or not, you can just type, for example, one something HTML, and it will show you the redirection information. So yeah, this is the new feature that is coming to PrestaShop 9 thanks to the community contributor. The same who helped us removing the legacy part of the customization and did a lot of good stuff recently. So thank you for that. Yeah, we plan to do the same for the debug profiler because I believe this is a good way of securing the developer mode. Creating a cookie on your device is very straightforward. It's probably more complicated on mobile devices. So instead of creating a cookie there, maybe we should think about providing a field for IP or some other way of providing users of a better control to accessing the store in the developer mode. But we'll see about our options in the future. If you have any suggestions, please go to the GitHub discussions of the project, and you can suggest if you have some ideas on how to improve this feature, and maybe you would be interested in submitting a PR improving the current behavior of this page. So that would be it when it comes to the debug cookie feature. The next thing I would like to show you is about more technical stuff about the refactorization that is going on in the project. As I mentioned last month, PrestaShop 9 will support PHP starting from version 8.1, which means that by the time PrestaShop 9 will be released, we will have two versions supported: PrestaShop 8.1, PHP 8.1 and PHP 8.2. Those two versions will be the only versions of PHP supported in PrestaShop 9. which is a big change, and this is a big change for entire ecosystem, but it allows us to simplify a lot of the code base that we use in PrestaShop core. It allows you as a developer or as a person who works with some solutions for PrestaShop to create a better code, easier, more maintainable, and so on and so forth. You can use all the features that happen to be introduced in PHP 8.1 and 8.0. So in order to improve the code base of PrestaShop, Fabian Papet, who is committer in the PrestaShop project, decided to introduce RectorPHP in PrestaShop. Rector is basically a tool which allows you to refactor your code automatically. So you can provide the file with some rules, for example, change for example, list function from PHP to array destructurization feature from PHP 8, and so on and so forth. So you provide the file with the rules, you run the script, and all the code base from the directories that you provided is automatically being improved. So this is, if I recall correctly, the first pull request that Fabian introduced to the core. It introduced some of the basic rules that helped us to help the project to refactor code base of the PrestaShop. So as you can see, we no longer use get class. We just access the class object differently. There are also some changes regarding arrays. Exactly, we no longer are required to use list function. We can use array destructurization. We also have access to some of the new functions introduced in PHP 8, such as string endsWith or string startsWith. There's also string contains, and so on. So all those changes which normally would have to be implemented manually were implemented automatically thanks to RectorPHP. And Rector is a very powerful tool. It's just a start. So that Fabien started doing some other PRs that aims to improve the code base of PrestaShop. For example, there was a switch from he switched from using annotations to using PHP attributes, which were introduced in PHP 8. So it's a great tool. We are happy to have it in the PrestaShop project because it will help us refactor code better. It also allows us to run some rules that your code will be automatically improved to be compatible from one PHP version to another. Maybe in the future we could think about having a script which allows you to do some backward compatibility changes. For example, to support PHP 8 instead of PHP 8.1. I saw that some of the projects decided to do that, even though it's very risky, especially on such a big code base. But even those changes, so changing annotations, changing list to array destructurization, or using the new functions introduced in newer PHP versions, and those changes that are made automatically to the core are a really good reason for having Rector inside PrestaShop project. So kudos to Fabien Papet, who introduced Rector to PrestaShop, and I hope to see more pull requests like this because it will help the code to be much cleaner thanks to the recent changes in PHP. All right. So the next thing I would like to show you is about the developer documentation. As you maybe noticed, I'm trying to show you the changes in the developer documentation almost every month. We have Thomas Nares, who is working in the PrestaShop company as a person responsible for improving the developer documentation. He's doing an amazing job with not only with the task that we created some time ago, so with the things to be documented and so on, but he also is very active in making sure that new developers feel more welcomed into developer documentation and to improve the user experience or developer experience in the documentation. by introducing some of the new features. And I would like to show you some of the things that he did the last month. So the first thing I would like to show you is that how the developer documentation behaves if you visit the page that is related to outdated PrestaShop version. So if you happen to search for something in Google, you may be redirected to the 1.7 documentation, for example. And we don't really want to do that to happen. We don't really want you to read all the 1.7 documentation. We would like to be clear that 1.7 documentation is a documentation for version which is no longer in development. It is supported with security fixes, but is no longer in development. So if you visit some of the page and it's in the 1.7 version, you will have this warning that you are browsing the documentation for PrestaShop 1.7, which is outdated. For quite some time now, we decided that it's better to focus on the PrestaShop 8 documentation. So most of the new features and improvements which you will see in the documentation is regarding PrestaShop 8, not PrestaShop 1.7. So if you visit 1.7 documentation, you will see that you can click to read the updated version of this page. If you click this page, you will be redirected to the same page, but in the context of PrestaShop 8. You will also see this button saying learn how to upgrade to the latest version, and it will redirect you to completely different, completely revamped upgrade guides, which still is missing some of the details, and we are getting more and more feedback about the upgrades, that upgrades being not stable enough and the documentation is being not clear enough. We gather, believe us that we gather all the feedback that you give us, and we are trying to make this documentation as clear as possible. For the time being, this documentation works perfectly fine with the clear version of PrestaShop, which is being migrated to the new version, upgraded to the new version of PrestaShop. There are some edge scenarios which are very hard to document. Maybe we will introduce some FAQ section, which basically answers some of the common problems that you may encounter and which are not really directly because of the PrestaShop, but because of the environment, because of the third-party modules and so on. We noticed that many issues that happen to be created on the PrestaShop repository also have replies from the community with some workarounds. So, for example, recently we came up on the issue with the OpenSSL being problematic on Windows, and there are some workarounds available. Maybe we will try to gather all those workarounds, all those community feedback, and we will create a FAQ section. We will see. But coming back to the developer documentation, as I said, if you visit the old version of the documentation, you will see that warning that you can switch to the currently supported version of PrestaShop. FYI, we will introduce PrestaShop 9 documentation as soon as we will go into the feature freeze phase, which is basically planned in Q4, somewhere in Q4. I don't want to spoil any details right now because it's still a bit flexible subject, but we will make sure that as soon as PrestaShop 9 codebase is frozen, we will work on PrestaShop 9 documentation, so you have all the notable changes, all the new features that are coming to PrestaShop 9 documented in the developer documentation. So going back to more changes in the developer documentation, we, as I said, together with Thomas, we tried to make the developer documentation better for newcomers in the ecosystem. And if you are a newcomer in the ecosystem, you want to have installation guide as best as possible. This is why Thomas prepared a fully revamped version of installing guide for PrestaShop. So now if you visit the installation section, you have really much more detailed documentation on how to install PrestaShop. And not only on how to install it in general, you can read the how to install guide on macOS, how to install on Windows, how to use Docker with PrestaShop, and so on and so forth. So this installing PrestaShop with Docker is something that we are very proud of, because it shows you not only how to install PrestaShop with Docker and how to use PrestaShop with Docker in general, but it also shows you some really nice tips. For example, how to work with the local module or local theme. And it will give you possibility to, for example, create a repository where you have the module folder, where you have your Docker configuration, and you can test your module against different versions of PrestaShop only by using Docker. So by following this guide, you will have a chance to achieve that only by modifying your Docker guide. There are also some changes in the Docker coming from the core. So if you clone the PrestaShop 9 repository, if you see the current Docker configuration, there are some changes that are really nice for developers. For example, you can overwrite all the Docker configurations by creating the second file with Docker Compose, and so on. So yeah, if you are new to PrestaShop, if you are new to PrestaShop development, if you are interested in working with Docker and PrestaShop, make sure to read the upgraded documentation. And yeah, let us know what you think about the new Docker guide. And the last thing that I would like to show you today is also regarding the developer documentation. We constantly try to improve the search feature, because this is probably the first thing the developer do when it comes to the developer documentation. He or she tried to find the content that they are looking for. So we added a new feature that if you are searching for something that doesn't exist on the current version that you are browsing, for example, if I switch to PrestaShop 8, if I open the search bar, if I search for lazy RI, let's say, you can see that I don't have any results for PrestaShop 8, but I do have some results coming from other versions. So even though the documentation differs from one version to another, if you search for something and we couldn't find it on one version, but we could find it on the other version, you will be notified about that in the search. It seems like a small feature, but it is really powerful, and it will help you and help everyone. I'm sure of that, to have a better experience with this feature in the developer documentation. So even though if I'm in the PrestaShop 8 context, I managed to find some of the results that are available only in PrestaShop 1.7 documentation. And I can click it and just use the page that is dedicated to PrestaShop 1.7. And if I'm done reading, I can also come back to PrestaShop 8 documentation. And that's it. So yeah, that would be it for today. As I said, this was a bit different demo. So if you have any questions, let me know. We can just went to the Q&A directly, I guess, at this point. So let me switch to the presentation. I will put this question and answers slide, and I will see if you have any questions. Okay, so we have one comment from Daniel. You should add buttons to add remove the cookie also. Not everyone will understand how to create a cookie. You are right. But first of all, I'm pretty sure we could easily improve it by adding some help text. Let's switch to back office, for example. Okay, so we are talking about this feature. So yeah, I agree that it's hard. I mean, there's no button to remove the cookie. That's okay, all right. I guess we can just remove the value and save, and it should work fine. Okay. There's a developer mode available, and that's it. So what you suggest is to add remove cookie button. Okay, maybe we should add something like reset cookie or something like this. When it comes to the instruction on how to use it, maybe we could be more precise by adding some help text. But the problem is the placement. I don't see where we could add this placement. Plus, when we first started thinking about this feature, discussing this feature, we were thinking that this will probably be something what developer is asking merchant to do. So, for example, you bought new add-ons from PrestaShop Marketplace, for example, and it requires some support because there's an error 500 on front office. The merchant doesn't want to give you access to back office, but you need to see the real error page, the real error message. So you basically tell the merchant, hey, go to advanced parameters, performance, enable debug mode, but put this value and this value to those fields so I can see the error message. That's how I see it. So yeah, but definitely we can think about having a more clear information on how to work with this feature. So this will require for us not only being more informative there, but also probably in the user documentation. I agree. If you have any suggestions, you know what to do, right, Daniel? Okay, Valerie is asking about open hours, office hours. Yeah, those are office hours. And yeah, we host them every Tuesday. Actually, we were having really productive sessions recently. I didn't participate in the last one, but the previous one was really productive. We managed to work with Daniel, have talks with Mateus, and a few other people about some great improvements to the project, not only to like the code wise, but also organizational on the organizational level. So how to treat PRs, how to test PRs, how to better work with quality assurance, and so on. So if you are interested in not only in discussing but listening to our conversation, you feel free to join office hours. I will share the link to the PrestaShop project website because office hours are open for everyone. It's just a meeting on Google Meet, so you can join to us. You can join to us on Google Meeting at 11 a.m. Paris time every Tuesday, almost every Tuesday, because there are some bank holidays and so on. And I like your idea, Mateus, that we could add the auto reminder. All right. Yeah, I like the idea. We should do that. And let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. Definitely. Let's do that. Okay. I like that chat is so active today, but not that many questions. If you have any questions, let's wait maybe 2 minutes more. If there are no questions, we'll go for the summer break. Because I should say you that there will be no live update in August. We will take a short summer break, 1 month break from the live update, and we will back strong in September. We'll have something really good to show you in September, believe me. So does anybody have any questions? All right. If there are no more questions, I would like to invite you one more time to the PrestaShop Developer Conference, which will happen in November, at the end of November in Paris. You will find all the details on the PrestaShop Developer Conference website. You can access it directly by going to the developer documentation or to the PrestaShop project blog. There's a pretty banner there with the link to the developer conference website. Also, if you are interested in discussing with us or listening to our discussion about the project, about the core, about the PRs, about everything what is related to the project, come join us to office hours almost every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Paris time. So thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for your time, and we will see you in September, not in August, in September. Bye.